This is a screencast for lesson 2.2 of the literacy curriculum for Unit 2 Expository Communication. There's a lot of moving parts to this lesson, so you're going to want to make sure that you've done a lot of planning and preparation before you launch this lesson. So in lesson 2.2, you're going to need to make sure that you have access to the computer lab or a computer cart of some sort in your room. So what students do is they start by brainstorming careers that they are interested in. And so they'll start off in step one in this box right here and list as many career ideas as they have with a minimum of 5 career ideas. Once students have done that, they will select at least 3 careers that they're interested in that they will be researching throughout this lesson. So what you'll do is you will have students reference these websites that are listed below and start finding some research on each of those careers. So they'll put each career in one of these boxes, and then they'll start to do their research to answer these questions. After students have done some research, and you'll want to make sure that you set some expectations about time limit and what they should be doing during this time, they will ultimately pick one career that they are most interested in and that they're going to focus on throughout the entire unit. This is definitely a teacher checkpoint. You're going to want to make sure that you check every single student's career and make sure it's a good option for them, and make sure if it's not, or if they need some help, that you coach them to find a career that is going to be something that they can research throughout the entire unit. So after students have done that, they're going to switch, and so this might be a time where you're in the lab. They can go ahead and come back for the rest of the lesson. They won't need computers. You're going to hop into another question chunk, annotate with students, but before you do that, you'll do the pre-reading strategy of this anticipation guide. So you'll give students some time to, if you can see, there's a column for before reading and after reading. Basically what they're going to determine is if their opinion changed at all after they read the article. So you'll give them some time to answer these 5 questions, whether they agree or disagree with this statement. As students are doing that, you're going to want to set up in the room either on 2 boards, or you're going to want to put a poster up to label an agree side of the room and a disagree side of the room. After students are finished and you're completed with setting that up, what you're going to do is instruct students to take just their packet with them, and you're going to read question number 1, so this statement right here, and you're going to have students silently, and make sure that you set up the behavioral expectations, move to the room to the side that they picked, either agree or disagree. So they'll take this with them. Then you're going to skip down and kind of do a reverse order. So then you're going to read question 5, and you'll have students move to whichever side that they chose, and give them some time to look around and see who's on which side and how many people are on each side. You'll read number 4, do the same activity, and number 3. But you're going to purposefully skip question number 2 because you're going to come back to that. So after you've completed that and had students moving around the room, you're going to send them back to their seats to talk with a shoulder partner about what was surprising or interesting to them through this process. What did it make them think? Next, you're going to have them reread question number 2 and make sure that they have a solid answer to this question. You're going to instruct students to take all of their belongings with them because they're going to be moving their seats for the rest of the lesson. Once again, you're going to have students move to either agree or disagree, and it's important that they pick one side. They can't be in the middle on this issue. Once there are clear sides chosen, what you're going to do is everyone that's on the agree side, you're going to count them off and put them into groups of 3 or 4. You'll do the same thing for the disagree side. So ultimately, students are going to be grouped with students that have a similar opinion as they do for question number 2. What's going to then happen is students are going to be given 2 articles. They're not going to read both of them. They're going to read one or the other. So if they're on the agree side, they are going to be reading article A, which talks about the side of the other side, so the side that they don't agree with. So they're going to read about the other side of the argument, and vice versa. So for people that are on the disagree side, they're going to read article B, which would be the opposite side of their own opinion. So you're going to want to make sure that students are sitting down in groups and then they're going to make sure that they're all reading the same article. It should be really easy to walk around and tell because it has the large A or the large B. It is the question chunk annotate, so have them read it together, stop, and answer each question, and give them about 20 minutes to complete that activity. So once students have done the question chunk annotate, they're going to do a post-reading activity called Save the Last Word for Me. So this is going to give them the opportunity to go back yet again. So they've done a pre-reading strategy, a during reading strategy, and now a post-reading strategy to come back and make even more connections from the text. So in this strategy, you will want to post the protocol. The protocol can be found in this section in the lesson plan. Right up here. There are rules, so you're going to want to make sure that you have a timekeeper and a facilitator to keep track of the time. You will instruct students to go back and kind of skim through the article and to highlight, so they can use a highlighter, they can underline, circle, whatever, what part of the text was most significant to them. So once students have done that, when it's their turn, you can identify who goes first. They will point out the text that they have selected and make sure that everyone kind of knows where that text is. Everyone will kind of quickly go back and reread it and determine what stands out to them. So then the person that selected this piece of text will not say why they picked it, but first people in the group will ask that person questions or share what they feel about that section of the text. After 2 minutes is up, then the last 2 minutes, the person that chose this is the only person that's allowed to talk and explains why they felt that this portion was significant. So they have the last word. Students will do that, so you make sure that everyone has an opportunity to do the same, to be like the leader of the group and have the last word. Finally, you're going to want to make sure that students come back up to their anticipation guide and determine if any of their opinions changed on these after they read the article. And then what's really important is that they synthesize their thoughts and they do this closing activity, which is a door slap, or it's a short reflection where you will pass back their resume template that they did in the previous lesson, and students will look at that resume and reflect on these questions. Does your resume reflect all of your strengths? If so, what are they? If not, what's missing? What does your resume reveal about your weaknesses related to this job? And students may need some guidance in that area. And then what steps can you take over the next 5 years so that your resume shows fewer weaknesses? So that's something that you'll want to collect, and again, just get kind of a temperature gauge as to where students are. So that's Unit 2.2, Lesson 2.2. Again, like I said, there's lots of moving parts, so you're going to want to make sure you're really prepared for this lesson. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.